I think I found a little bit of a better filming spot. With Michael working from home, I'm not really able to film in the house with him. Like I probably could, but for my own cringe levels, I can't. I drove around for 20 minutes around my block trying to find a parking spot where there was good lighting and not like 500,000 people walking by every 30 seconds. Today's video, we're going to talk about the differences between day shift, night shift, what's better, all of that. I have worked mostly night shift, but I have worked some day shift. I feel like it's something that's very personal. I think it would have been nice for me to see a video like this where you lay everything out and just give the honest pros and cons from each one. That way you can make a little bit more of an informed decision. That being said, I know a lot of new grad positions are night shift. There's really just no way around it. That's when they want to bring on new people. I don't know why that is. I feel like just as much goes down on nights as does on days. I don't know if it's just because a lot of people don't want to work nights or what. Okay, so I worked night shift as a tech in the emergency room for a year, and I worked night shift as a labor and delivery nurse for a year as well. I did 3 months of my labor orientation on day shift, so that is the only day shift experience I have working as a nurse, but I feel like 3 months working full time, you do get a feel for how it goes. So first I'm just going to talk about the point blank pros and cons of each. We're going to do like objective facts and then opinions. So we're gonna just start with day shift. So like, what are the pros for day shift? Of course, you can sleep better at night. Your body usually wants to sleep at night, so it's a little bit easier to fall asleep at night. You might get a little bit more sleep. Day shift is just a little bit better for your health. That has been studied before. People who work night shift have way higher levels of cortisol. So if you are working day shift, it's usually a little bit easier on your body. You have more access to support staff during the day. This is like a pro and a con, depending on how your management is, but usually management is there during the day. So if you need more help, you need a problem solved that's a little bit outside of your wheelhouse. Usually management is in-house. You have a lot of those support staff members like social work, lactation. Hopefully you have those at night too, but a lot of hospitals don't. Usually those people are there during the day. They can help you when your patients need something. The cafeteria usually has more things available. There's like small stuff. I always really liked that when I worked days. Starbucks was open. The cafeteria had way more food options. You just have more available to you. The work-life balance between you and your partner, if your partner works a more traditional 9-to-5 job, is really nice too. It was really nice when I worked day shift. On my breaks, I was able to text my fiance and we were both awake at the same time. It was just really, really nice and not something that I had before. You don't feel like a zombie on your days off. That's a huge one. Your body likes to kind of stay in a routine. So if you're staying up all night, 3 nights a week, it's going to want to try to do that on your days off. And when you flip that schedule, you're going to feel like a zombie. So your choices are to like stay up all night all the time or to feel like a zombie on your days off. That is definitely another pro to day shift. You don't feel like a zombie on your days off. Other pros to day shift, some of the jobs that nurses would want to have are only available on day shift. Like clinic jobs are only day shift for the most part. School nurse jobs, office jobs, a lot of those are going to only be available during the day. So now we'll talk about the pros of night shift. Most of the time you're going to make more money on nights. You get something called differential, which is extra money added onto each hour. If your base is $30 an hour, you might have a $6 differential after 7 p.m. From any hour worked between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., you'll make an extra $6 an hour, which is pretty nice. It really does add up too. I noticed when I was on days, my paychecks were significantly smaller, even though I was working the same number of hours. Usually the night shift is more fun, and I say that because it's people that are more likely to reject traditional, I don't know how I want to word this. People who work nights are okay staying up all night. So usually they're just a little bit more like, they're just different. They're a different kind of person. And for the most part, I always feel like I clicked really well with that. They're funny. They're like that dry humor. We're all in this together kind of stuff. To be able to stay up all night like that, especially the people who've done it for 20, 30 years, they're just a very different kind of person. Those are the people that are way stronger than I am. You get to sleep in, which is really nice. There's no getting up at 5 a.m. to get ready for work. If you like to be up all night and sleep all day, this is like perfect for you. Before having Brogan, I loved this. I loved getting to sleep all day and then be up all night because I liked being up all night anyways. So it worked really well with my schedule. There is less people at night. Management's usually not there. So you kind of have just more your core staff. So you don't have to deal with all the extra foot traffic. A lot of times family members aren't coming and visiting at night. You kind of just have to take care of your patients, and that's it. I feel like that is kind of a pro of being on nights, is there's definitely less people. The teamwork is really good on nights. Obviously this is unit specific, but I do feel like generally on nights the teamwork is better because you don't have all those extra support people, so you're used to having to lean on your coworkers a lot more than maybe during the day. We'll talk about the cons for day shift. So waking up at 5 in the morning, that sucks. Waking up at 5 in the morning, especially if you do have kids and let's say they were up all night sick or couldn't fall asleep, you still have to get up super early, so that is kind of rough. The traffic getting to work is usually worse because you're kind of going in the rush hour, you make less money, management's there, depending, that might be a pro or a con, but some places it's a con. You have more people like watching over you constantly, it's busier, family members are there all the time, which again, these all can be like pros or cons, just something to think about. I feel like just like a lot more happens scheduled during the day, so there's just a lot of movement, a lot of things that need to be done. If you have children and they're in like sports or they have school events, if you're working you can't go to those, which is hard. Like having to figure out childcare is a little bit different. So yeah, those are downsides to day shifts. Downsides to night shift, you're on a different schedule than your family and maybe your significant other, your children. That's hard. You can go to your kids' events and everything, but you will probably lack sleep. Again, you're probably gonna feel like a zombie most of the time on your days off. I could never fall asleep at night on my nights off. I had worked a few nights in a row and then I tried to switch my schedule and be up all day and then sleep at night. It was just really hard and I'd be laying in bed till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and then when we all would get up at 8, I was horrifically tired. That was not fun. Nothing's open. The cafeteria would have like 5 things total, no Starbucks. You don't have the support staff when you need them, so if we needed social work or anything, we couldn't have them right then. That was like a bigger problem when I worked in the emergency department, because we would have people that were getting discharged and they never were able to be seen by some of those support teams that we needed. It usually is a lot younger of a crowd, I feel like. A lot of new grads, a lot of newer nurses, which again, pro and con, something to consider. Usually the staff is a lot newer on nights. All the crazy stuff I feel like happens on nights, just like the most insane, of course it would happen on nights when there's less people there kind of stuff. Falling asleep driving home, that was always really rough because I would stay up all day, then work all night, and the drive home was horrible because you're driving home, everyone's out because they're all going to work and you are falling asleep driving. I know multiple people that have crashed on their way home from work that work night shift because they fell asleep at the wheel. That's really scary and dangerous. Another con is when you're asleep during the day, a lot of people don't think about it as a totally flipped schedule. You might sleep until like noon or 1 and then your family members are like, aren't you gonna get up? Like it's already 1, 2 p.m. You have to think of it like the exact opposite. It's 2 a.m. for me. You don't get out of bed at 2 a.m. probably, you know, when you work that day. That was really hard. There were still a lot of days I would only sleep 2 or 3 hours because I wanted to just be a part of my family and be with my son, and I would just literally never sleep. And so then I was like miserable all the time and honestly pretty depressed. I want to be like very upfront about that. I didn't think that's the way it was. That wasn't how it was before I had children. It was easier with childcare on nights because I would work all night and then watch my son all day, so we didn't have to pay a sitter, but I was sacrificing sleeping, so I literally was never sleeping. It works if you literally don't have anyone else for childcare, like you have no other option. Physically someone will be home with the kid all the time, whether it be you or your partner, but you probably will not be sleeping, which is really, really hard. Even if I would get a sitter for 3 or 4 hours, I still was only sleeping 3 or 4 hours, which is really hard. All of that being said, I loved night shift for what it was. I loved the people on nights. They were just so one of a kind. It always makes me smile when I think about the nurses on nights, especially when I worked labor and delivery in Indiana. Those were my people. So funny. Some of the experiences I had with them, it was just great. Great things to talk about at 3, 4, 5 in the morning when you're trying to stay awake. Those are the reasons that, you know, you can get through it. I mean, the money was good, all of that. Ultimately for me, my mental health, my physical health, my family, I feel like day shift ended up being a better fit for me. That's some of the contributing factor for what I'm kind of dealing with right now here. I have so many videos I need to make. There has been so much change even in the last like week or two. That's pretty straightforward on day shift versus night shift. You have to go into it knowing that whatever shift you're going on to, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be things that are better about the opposite shift, and every shift thinks that that's the best shift. If you ask day shift or night shift, they're both going to say no, like night shift for life, day shift for life. You have to like personally try it out. I think night shift for some people, it's like it clicks and they never look back. And some people, they can do it for a few years and then they're just like, I can't do this anymore. I know a lot of people that I worked with that I thought were going to do night shift for life are now coming to days because they're like, I physically can't do this anymore. Only you know what is best for you, and only you know what you can handle. Don't cry driving home from work. It's not worth it. Don't feel miserable all the time. Don't be sad over a job. This is a nurse's market. You can find a different job if you're unhappy. Do what's best for you to learn and get your experience, and if you think you can stick with it, just stick with it. But if it gets to the point where you are not doing well anymore, don't do that to yourself. Do something else. There are so many other options out there. You would be so surprised at who will hire you, especially right now. I care about all of you guys. I really appreciate everyone that has messaged me and people who reach out to me on Instagram, tell me all your problems. I really like that a lot, and I love solving other people's problems because it makes my problems not the priority, and I can just kind of like push them into a little box in the corner and think about them later. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments what kind of videos you want to see. This was a highly recommended video that I kept getting DMs about, so I'm really glad that I'm finally doing it. I will see you next time. Bye guys.